Chapter 1. Prologue. You are listening at FameTV.info. There was a bright flash of light, followed by a silent explosion that lit up the darkness of space. 5 figures powerlessly fell out from the center of this explosion onto a nearby half-destroyed world. Their fall further increased the damage this world suffered as they crashed into the ground, breaking off more of the already broken world. The states of the figures who fell out of the explosion weren't any less better than that of the world they fell on. They were all beaten, battered and bruised with multiple injuries that could probably take years to heal. Looking around them, one could see that the broken world they were on was one of the few within sight, as every other world or star that might have existed in the area alongside its inhabitants had already been long turned into space dust. As for the one they were on, it most likely going to join its peers as space dust very soon. The only sources of light in the area were the dying core of the world they were currently on and the few stars that had been lucky to survive the earlier clashes. After a few moments they seemed to have regained consciousness and struggled to get up despite their horrible states. The lighter injuries on their bodies began healing at a visible rate, however the more serious ones showed no signs of doing so and even seemed to be getting worse by the moment, as an amount of blood that would /VE caused a normal person to become anemic if lost was currently seeping out of these injuries. Finally managing to get up, their faces were fully revealed, as anyone with even the most basic knowledge would have been able to realize the shocking identities of these beings. Each of them made various gestures, causing their unique weapons to appear, which they procked to grab tightly. One of Theseus' weapons was a white sword shining with enough light to blind the eyes of any normal person who looked at it. Next was a long spear more than twice the height of the average human with a jagged tip, occasionally releasing light sparks. Followed by that was a dark gold bow with a thin string that did not seem to be capable of being used to pull any arrows. However, the mysterious aura the bow gave off was enough to make anyone think otherwise. The fourth being picked up his spear that seemed to be made of wood. Despite that, it was far harder and stronger than a lot of metals that exist. A golden jewel resembling a closed eye rested just below the head of the spear. As for what happens if that eye is to be opened, that is still unknown. The last of the 5 beings picked up his lightning bolt that violently sparked with lightning. It could also be seen that the one holding this violent weapon wasn't the least bit affected by this. In fact, the sum of the lightning was being absorbed into his body as the rate at which some of his wounds healed increased at a visible pace. "GODSLAYER!" he bellowed out with rage. The lightning being emitted by his weapon seemed to increase in intensity as if responding to its master /S rage. "No need to shout so loud, I can hear you just fine, Zeus," a voice replied as a 6th figure descended down to the ground just like the other 5 had done earlier. The difference, however, was that this being was descending of his own will and didn't seem to be even the slightest bit injured like the others. In fact, he was the culprit and reason for the injuries of the other 5. He yawned while looking down on them and continued, "Still, this is quite the pitiful state for the great universal masters. I wonder how your subordinates and followers would react if they were to see you right now." His casual words revealed the shocking identities of these 5 injured beings, universal masters. These battered individuals were the masters of entire universes, the kings of the gods in their respective pantheons. They are gods that are worshipped by trillions of beings, also known to possess great power, enough power that the very mention of their names would cause their enemies to flee with their tails tucked firmly between their legs. Even galactic rulers would bow their heads while trembling in fear in their presence. The first of these beings being the king of the Tuatha De Danann, the master of the universe, known as Aaron, a man fair and tall, with a great head of curly yellow hair. He had torn green mantle wrapped about him and a cracked brooch of white silver in the mantle over his chest. Next to his white skin, his usual tunic of royal satin was replaced with a red gold battle armor reaching to his knees. He was none other than the sun god and god of light, Luf. Held firmly in his hand was his famed sword Claim Solace. The next was the monarch of the Ramarsk universe. He wore a segmented cuirass consisting of metal strips fashioned into circular bands, fastened to internal leather straps. He gripped his spear of lightning tightly in response to the words of the being looking down on him. The god of sky and thunder, Jupiter, followed by him was the chief of the divines who ruled the universe of oblivion. A man with slightly pointed ears and white skin, donning a bronze battle armor that covered most of his body. As he gripped his bow, Ori.L tighter, the injuries on his body seemed to be slowly erased as if being rewound, owing to his nature as the god of time. His name, Alkosh, beside him stood the leader of the Aesir god tribe and the master of Asgard. He was tall old man with a flowing beard and only one eye, the other covered by an eye patch, wearing a cloak and a wide-brimmed hat that covered most of his long hair and carrying his signature spear famed to never miss, Gungnir. This man was none other than Odin, lastly, the king of the Olympians and master of the Olympus universe. A man with long white hair that had blue highlights. Donning a sky-blue colored armor with a semi-torn cape attached to it. The usual shield he carried on his left hand had long been broken to pieces, his right hand tightly gripped the legendary lightning bolt, a strape. One of the most famous gods of all times, Zeus, staring at the pitiful states of these great beings, the one Zeus referred to as the GODSLAYER spoke, "You brought this upon yourselves, if you had let me live in peace, I wouldn't have had any problems with you, however you were the ones who aimed for my life first in the name of your so-called justice. Did you really expect me to not retaliate?" While gritting his teeth Jupiter replied, "You Rhea being prophesied to bring destruction wherever you go, even if we didn't attack you first others surely would have. The scenery around us is a good example, everything has already been turned to dust, this entire galaxy is now nothing more than an empty husk," added Alkosh. "Don T speak like you all didn't T have a hand in bringing this poor galaxy to its untimely end, besides, the only reason I started all this destruction you speak of is simply because you gods kept coming after me, time and time again. In the process of trying to prevent your stupid prophecy you only hastened its fulfillment, fools." The GODSLAYER shot back, with slight traces of annoyance evident in his tone. "I am getting bored of this, you should have bought enough time for some of your wounds to heal by now, right? I am going to get serious now." As soon as he said those words the aura around him changed rapidly. A black gold full body armor wrapped around him, a black cape appeared resting on his shoulders slowly, flowing in the space between the 5 pairs of wings that sprouted out of his back. His heterochromatic eyes shone dangerously as left blue eye became a darker shade of blue and his right red eye became a darker shade of red, the gold highlights of his platinum blonde hair lit up alongside the rune symbol on the side of his face. He stretched out his hand and summoned his weapon. "Come forth, ############################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################################### dot. As soon as he said that, there was sudden darkness. The figures of the Universal Masters who were about to attack in an attempt to disrupt his transformation stopped in their tracks as they tried to comprehend the true cause of the sudden darkness. The darkness that stretched out to the ends of the universe then started converging into a single point before turning into a jet-black blade with golden lines running through like veins and various runic languages on it. The Godslayer proceeded to grab this blade and pointed it towards the Universal Masters, who felt dread as they began to slightly regret their previous actions. "En garde," those were his only words as he moved towards the beings in front of him at a frightening speed. ******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** how this being known as the Godslayer, was able to reduce such powerful gods to pitiful states and make them feel fear of death. For that, we /D have to go down memory lane, back to 1,000 years ago, to the time period a certain prophecy was given. Hey guys, author here, just wanna thank you for picking up my novel that I'm new to writing and all, so I hope you would cut me some slack if you do not find the story to be as top-notch as the others out there. I also ask that you do not drop this after the first chapter and give it a try. Who knows, that it might just become your next best novel. Thanks in advance for continuing on our Godslayer /best legend. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.